I think it's important you know where I stand on this. Our government and our province is known for having fair labour laws. More importantly, Ontarians have promoted an atmosphere of respect between workers and management, and the system works in almost all cases. It's not working because the balanced Made in Ontario approach requires that unions and management sit down and talk to try to work out the differences. And so far, the owners of Electro-Motive have failed to live up to Ontarians' expectations. We understand that both sides will negotiate firmly. We understand they are both free to determine their own tactics. But we also expect both sides to show some flexibility to try and land an agreement that acknowledges that the company needs skilled workers, and those workers deserve a fair wage. So I'm urging Electro-Motive's owners to return to the bargaining table, engage in meaningful discussions, and try to resolve this lockout. We're committed to doing everything we can to help protect jobs in London, just as we're committed to helping boost job creation here too.
And Caterpillar, Premier, and is it, to follow up Christian's question, is it provincial jurisdiction or federal?
Well, I'm saying that at this point in time, what we're talking about here are, I think, the legitimate expectations of the people of this community and Ontarians generally, that this employer will meet. And these jobs are very important to this community. And what do I mean by way of reasonable expectations? Well, that the employer will come to the table and that they will demonstrate some flexibility in terms of finding a solution. You've got to approach these things with sincerity and in an earnest way. And I think that's something that we'd all like to see sooner rather than later. Well, I'm not going to get, Keith, you will know that as a general rule, I do not look to insinuate myself into these matters. But for the last 8 years, we've worked very hard to put in place labor relations that are fair and balanced and responsible and respectful, and that overwhelmingly work. This is an extraordinary circumstance in comparison to our recent history. And we have the case of an employer here which is clearly not meeting Ontario's, I think, legitimate and reasonable expectations. I think you've got to come to the table and you've got to demonstrate some flexibility. You've got to find a way to sit down and work this out together. We've got, as I say, as a general rule, I don't like to insinuate myself into these things, but this one strikes me as a little bit different, a little bit out of the ordinary from what has gone on in recent years, and certainly is what has gone on here in Ontario. We've got a difference, a significant difference when it comes to wages and benefits. At this point in time, I remain hopeful. I remain optimistic, and I think there's good reason for us to bring that demeanor at this point in time. And what I'm asking the employer to do is to demonstrate some good faith, come to the table, and you've got to bring some flexibility with you. We understand how very important those jobs are to you and to your families and to the community. So at this point in time, I would just urge patience. I would hope that they would come to understand that what we're trying to do at this point as a government is to encourage the employer to come to the table. I believe that good faith is there on the employee side. By that I mean willing to come to the table, willing to show some flexibility, and I think we need to see that reciprocated by the employer. I think when it comes to these kinds of things, we're always at our best when we work together. So my thinking on this is that, the municipality and the province and the federal government, we should be talking to each other. We should be determining the best way that we each can be supportive in bringing forward a negotiated settlement, one that works for everybody. And I just think that it's unhelpful if we begin to point fingers at one level or another. The feds did play a role in putting in place a tax environment here, which I understand was helpful to this business. So they're there. We're very committed to growing this economy, securing those jobs. We've got a new Southwestern Development Fund as evidence of that continuing commitment. The municipality is directly affected by this. So there's of course, the union, the working people here. I think that if we find ways to work together on this kind of thing, that's our best chance of securing a positive outcome.